Okay. We like to spend a few quiet moments before. So I'll give you a practice. You get your back straight, sit up straight, and shoulders even, head straight, and then close your eyes. And we'll spend 2-3 minutes. Try to imagine a perfect partner. What would they be like? Okay? Here we go. Okay, we'll start. I wanted to sort of review and go over what we talked about yesterday, especially if you didn't have a chance to come yesterday. There's munchkins in the room. Yesterday's talk was about how to find your perfect partner. Today's talk is about, guess what? How to keep them. Number 3 is like, how to be happy with them, okay? Because you can keep them but not be happy with them, right? Just to summarize from yesterday, we were talking about the 2 bad choices trick that diamond dealers use, because I was in the diamond business, and, you know, I'm aware of it. Not that I ever did it. But it's where a customer comes in and wants to buy a diamond, and you have 2 diamonds. You say, we have a big selection, don't worry. And you show them a yellow diamond, which is a little bit bigger, and you say, you can have this one. This is a clean stone. This is like flawless. You see, a stone can be flawless and bright yellow also, or mud colored, you see, but it doesn't have any flaws in it. So you say, this is flawless and it's mud colored. You know, this one has all these black spots in it, you know, but it's perfectly white. You see? And then you try to get their mind on these 2 bad choices. It's called the 2 bad choices trick. It's a salesman's trick. You get them, would you rather buy this car, it's cheaper, it doesn't run so good, or this car costs a little more money, and it also doesn't run very good. You know, and they're like, and you get their mind on these 2 choices, you see? And we talked about that yesterday. So what we were trying to say yesterday was, it's not how you dress. Should you dress conservatively or should you dress in a fashionable way? You know, should you try to be slim or should you try to be chunky? You know, should you wear a lot of makeup or should you get the Calvin, who's the guy? Is it Ralph Lauren? Calvin Klein look, you know? Like, which is better? I mean, people come to talk like this and they're hoping we'll give them one of those answers, you know? Definitely the natural look does better, you know? And definitely, you know, skinny is in and chubby is out, you know? And no, we were in Singapore. We stayed in a family's house, and they're in the fashion business. So they have Vogue magazines stacked up in the bathroom, and of course we're looking at them. And every month it changes, right? Like, this is in, that's out. And you read because you want to know, you want to be in or out, you know? And this is going to decide whether you find your perfect partner, is whether you're up with this month's weight or this month's amount of makeup, you know, or this month's color. Like last month, Vogue declared it was blue, you know? So you had to have something blue. So everybody went out and bought something blue, you know? So we can't give you that. The point is, those are false dualities. Those are bad. That's a diamond thing, you see? Either one you choose, it'll either work or it won't work, and it's unpredictable. You can't predict it. Like, sometimes you buy something really fashionable, then you go to a party and everyone's dressed formally. You see what I mean? So you can't predict. It's unpredictable. The results are unpredictable. And what we suggested yesterday was a 3rd choice. That there are certain techniques to reach the underlying reality behind all events. You know, the thing that makes events happen. And then you like reach into the matrix and you switch switches. You toggle certain switches. And then it doesn't matter what you wear. It doesn't matter what kind of makeup you have. It doesn't matter what you look like. People are attracted to you. You see what I mean? And you get the person you wanted. You see what I mean? And that's karma. Okay, quite simply, it's karma, right? So what kind of karmas would you see, because look at Andy Warhol's art, right? Like, it's stupid, it's ugly, it's childish. No, and my friend has an Andy Warhol piece. And I said, well, what do you keep this for? That's my child's college education. I'm going to sell it when she gets to be 20. You know? That's an investment, you know, and it's a real investment, you see. But it's dumb and it's stupid and it's worthless, you know. No, but why? But there's a karma. You see, he had a karma. And then people loved his stuff. You see what I mean? Cindy Crawford has this big wart or something. No, really. It's a mole. On anybody else, it would be like, I'm not going out with you with that big thing on your face. You know? No. But for her, she has a karma. She has a seed. It looks cute. It looks attractive. You know, Richard Gere used to die for it. You know, no, I'm not kidding. You know it's the truth. You know, sometimes just an actress just hits, you know. She just hits. And, you know, we're like wondering why did she hit, you know? She's kind of, you see, it's just karma. It's all karma. How people see you is just karma, you see. So then all that is left to do is discuss what's the kind of karma you have to collect to find a good person in your life, to have a good partner. And we talked about some of the karmas yesterday. Generally speaking, there are two kinds of karma this way. One is kind of a negative karma. Like, if you avoid hurting people in this way, you will find a good partner. So there's kind of the method of avoiding bad karma. In the case of finding a partner, avoiding the bad karma is not screwing up other people's relationships, okay? Committed relationships. Now, if they're in a relationship where both of them know that they're both dating other people, that's fine. If they're in a relationship where either one of them thinks it's a committed relationship, that's not fine, okay? Then you can't mess around with that relationship. If you do, you're screwing up the karma to meet your partner. You won't be able to meet a partner. And again, in the Vinaya, Chukila's teaching it at Diamond Mountain, we were just covering this subject. There's a mental breaking of it and there's a physical breaking of it, right? I mean, it's one thing to ask the other person's partner out on a date or say something to them suggestive, but just to think it is the most powerful karma. And you should know that, okay? It's not enough that you keep your mouth shut and your hands to yourself. You see what I mean? To think seriously about it is to already have the karma. You see what I mean? So you've got to train your mind. When you see another a couple that have a committed relationship in a negative way, you have to be careful never to think, oh, it'd be really cool if the guy got run over by a truck. You know, not that I would do it, you see? But if it happened, you know, then she'd be available, you know, or something like that. So you can't even think like that. You see, I mean, that's karma. A lot of people don't understand that the essence of karma is what you're thinking. And then what you do is just the dessert. Okay, so in a negative way, avoid hurting other people's relationships. What we didn't mention yesterday, the next step up is called like bodhisattva level. And that's where you're not just working on avoiding harm to people, you are actively, proactively trying to help them in their relationship. So we all know people who are in a relationship that is having trouble, right? And then any chance you get to like bring them closer, you know, any chance you can get as their friend, right? If you see that they're having a problem, then you kind of help them out without being nosy, without being, what do you call it? In a kind of way that both of them would appreciate, right? Not like, how do you say, sticking your nose in, not like that. Not like, what do you call it? Not like intrusive or invasive, right? Or like, I know everything, I'm going to tell you what you need for your relationship, you know? Not like that, but you say, let's go to a movie together, you know? And you go out for a movie and you kind of, like I have some good friends who are having trouble and they're in New York City. Every time we go to New York, or every time we have a chance, we kind of accidentally meet them together, or, you know, and we have dinner together and we talk about our problems and then they're like listening and, you know, and so that's a bodhisattva That's a positive karma. You see, that's like reaching out to somebody who's having some trouble in their relationship, gently, in a welcome way, helping them. Then those are a negative karma, avoiding harm, which is, we call patimoksha morality, avoiding harm to somebody. And then there's this positive karma where you're reaching out to try to bring people together. Those kinds of karma would help you meet your perfect partner, okay? Yeah, and you see, it has nothing to do with two bad choices. It doesn't matter how you dress, it doesn't matter how much you weigh, or what kind of moles you have, right? Doesn't matter. If you collect the karma, you will find the person. They will come. No matter what you look like, they will come, okay? It's weird. Your skin can be all dry and crackly like a lizard. Your hair can be falling out. And they will still think you're cool, you see? I'm not kidding, you see? Oh, it's just like a dragon, you know. So really, it's a karma. It's all a karma. Nobody looks perfect. You can't, right? There is no such thing. So it's a karma. You have to make the karma. The rest doesn't matter. Don't get into this. Don't bust your brain with, should I wear this or should I wear that? It's, should you be kind or not? Then the rest will come, right? So that's how to find them. Then at the end last night, we handed out a special prayer. If you didn't get it, you should try to get a copy. Do we have any extras, Mercedes-Benz? Where is she? Do we have any extras from last night, the last page? We'll bring some tomorrow. How's that? We'll have a stack tomorrow. It's the last page from last night's selections. We had selections from ancient scriptures that help you in your relationships. And the last page was a prayer which I was personally taught. You see, I got this prayer myself. I said I would like to have a spiritual partner. And in the monastery, that's a big deal. It's not very common. It's very rarely that they approve it. And they're like, well, here's a prayer. Here's the karma you have to do. And then you do special retreats and stuff like that. So that's a prayer that I wanted to share with you. And what they told me was read it every night before you go to bed. You know, like you're ready to, you're already in your bed, then you take the prayer and you do it, right? And then you set it down. And then it's very important to, we call it Yeshikichakya. Yeshikichakya means everybody who wants to have a high spiritual relationship. First you go through this imaginary process, okay? You fantasize. And you did this in high school, right? I mean, you fantasize about the perfect partner. You see what I mean? Like, boy, Richard Diller, he was the star football player, 6'3", very handsome, you know. And all the girls were doing Leikichakya on him, you know. No, it's like you just imagine, you see? Because the mind plays a great role in what happens to you. You see, karma is the flowering of a seed that you have planted in your mind. So fantasizing can be a spiritual activity. Fantasizing about a perfect partner. And what's a perfect partner, you know? Should it just be someone who's like incredibly handsome or beautiful? And I'm supposed to get up here and say no. You see, I'm supposed to get up here and say, no, you should even be nice to ugly people, you know? You should even a person who's not attractive, you should just look at their heart. I'm not going to say that. Okay, I'm not going to say that. Make your imagined partner the most exquisitely beautiful or handsome being you can. Just do that. Make it the most incredibly beautiful creature you can imagine. Okay? And then, should they be rich or not? Why not? Okay? No, they're financially stable people. Or if you want that, I mean, some people don't want that, but if you want that, no problem. Make them the person who's going to help you get breakfast every day and a nice place to stay. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. That's not a problem. Okay? People should be financially healthy. That's okay. It's not wrong to want that. Then should they be sensitive? Yeah, that too. Should they be emotionally stable? Yes. Should they be loyal to me? Definitely. You know, and make them perfect, you know. But you must get the last part, or this chick doesn't work. Okay? If that's all you wish for, it doesn't work. I'm telling you no. They must be spiritually perfect. Okay? They must be spiritually perfect. Otherwise, the whole exercise doesn't work. You can fantasize about all those other things. You'll just get frustrated. You'll never find them, you see? The last thing, they have to be like divine. They have to be literally an angel, you know? Like, the perfect person for me is not even a person. You see what I mean? They look like a person. They're just a human, right? But they embody these beautiful high spiritual qualities. Like, the person I want to be my partner is like the kindest, most considerate, most generous, most patient, most wise, most giving. You see, the best meditator. They love to stay in a hut for 3 years. You know, no, I mean, make them. They have to be spiritually perfect. In your mind, they have to be the kindest, sweetest. They have to be sent from God, you know. They have to be like that. Then, when you go to sleep, this is a very holy practice. This is an ancient practice. You imagine them like an angel, and when you set your head down, boy or girl, right, doesn't matter. And your orientation doesn't matter. Boy, girl, doesn't matter. You put your head down in their lap. You see? Your pillow is their lap. And you imagine this being of like golden light, like very soft, warm golden light, whatever light you prefer. And you put your head down in their lap, and you think, you know, may I meet you? You know, may I meet you in real life? You see? Then you just go to sleep like that, you see? And you think, you know, I want a partner that together we're going to help people, you know? Like, we're going to be Mr. and Mrs. like, save the world, you know? And Spider-Man and what's her name? I don't know. What is her name? Kathy or I don't remember. But we're going to be like that, you know, like we're going to help. We're just going to go around anonymously around the world and help people. You know, people won't even know that we're helping them. We're going to break into people's houses and put money in their wallets, you know. And no, go to bed like that. Go to bed like that. And with that prayer and with that motivation. And it works, okay? We were at a very beautiful woman's house in Singapore. We were speaking, we had a puja, we had a service, a prayer service with a very beautiful woman. And she was married to one of the wealthiest men in Singapore, right? And we asked her, we had dinner together. I said, how did you meet your husband, you know? And she said, you won't believe it. And I said, well, try me, you know? And she said, I was living in a village in northern India, you know? I was just a village girl in northern India. And he was a wealthy man in Singapore, right? And every day, every Monday, Mangalwar, I went to the temple. And I pictured this high spiritual being. And I prayed to Shiva. It was Shiva, right? Doesn't matter. It could be Jesus, could be Moses, doesn't matter. I prayed to Shiva that I could meet this person and that we could help people together, you know? And she drew that guy from Singapore. You see? He didn't go to India much. And when he went to India, he went to South India. But she drew him to her village. And she drew him to a marriage ceremony, you know? It's very beautiful. It's very beautiful. You don't go looking, you see. You draw them like honey. You know, they come like a bee. Doesn't matter where you live, you see. They will come to you. They will come to you from far away. It's really beautiful, you see. Because you're creating the real karma. You're not some false, it's not your clothes. It's not your lipstick. It's your sweetness of your mind and your karma. Then they must come. Then they will come, you see. So that's how to find them. Next step is how to keep them, okay? That's harder, I think. We're going to go through that. That's Christy Shtick. Okay, here we go.
He got all the really nice poetic stuff, and I get this. You'll see. So, we thought yesterday we didn't look at the verses much, so I thought maybe we could take a look at the verse today. I'm just going to read the English. Everything we do is either stained or pure. Everything that begins is stained and therefore ends, unless we use the path. So, this is talking about that situation where you meet someone and it's love at first sight, and you're head over heels, and your heart is pounding wildly for them, and every time you're in their presence, the sky turns a different color, and you know that kind of romance period, usually lasts about 6 months, right? And then you get into this actual work of the relationship, and somehow that magic sort of dies. Like you never can seem to keep that beauty of the first moments together through a 30-year haul. And we're supposed to talk about why that's the case. Why it seems to be the case that we can't keep anything that we really love. That every time we try and grab a hold of something that really seems precious to us, it slips through our fingers one way or another. Either they leave, or somehow the relationship just changes and starts to go downhill. And why that's the case, why that seems to be the case in our life. And this is caused by something called, we call dirty good karma. Sakche kile in Tibetan. The reason that we meet these people in the first place is because we've done some kind of kind act to others in the past. We've planted good karma in our hearts. And then we see these people in our lives, and they're wonderful people, and it's not them. It's not coming from them. It's coming from something that we did in the past. It's coming from maybe we put two people together in the past. And so now we're seeing ourselves come together with someone that we're really attracted to and really love. But because we didn't do it consciously, that past action, because that past action wasn't done with knowledge, like we didn't know what we were doing when we were planting it. We just put these two people together just to be nice. Not because we knew we were planting karmic seeds for ourselves in the future, but just to be a sweet person. That means that the karma, it gets old, it wears out, and it dies. So it's like everything in our world. It's like our own bodies. The fact that we're born necessitates the fact that we have to die. We have a karma of this body. We are born, and then slowly but surely the karma starts wearing out, and we start seeing wrinkles, and the body starts feeling less and less good, and gets less and less mobile, and eventually it doesn't have any mobility at all, and we're flat on a bed, and we're on our last breaths. That's what happens with everything that we plant from what we call dirty good karma. And so it's not really our fault that these relationships, they come and then they start to go downhill. I was racking my brain when I was in high school. I'm like, what's wrong with me? This nice person here, and I'm a nice person, and somehow this relationship is not working. What am I doing wrong? Is there some sort of weird psychological thing I had from my parents splitting up when I was really young that's making me destroy this relationship? I thought it was my fault. I thought it was something that I was doing in particular. And it was sort of a relief to know that it wasn't just me, and it wasn't just this particular relationship, that it was just the nature of our whole life. And everybody was having the same experience. If you, even if you manage to keep a good relationship, eventually one of you must die. One of you has to leave the other, It always goes that way. Unless, like the last line says here, unless we practice the path. So we're going to talk about what this path is, what this big secret is to stopping that cycle that seems to, every time we get something good, it just starts dying on us. You know, how can we stop that? How can we turn that around? How can we get something we really love and then just keep perpetuating it over and over? So we're in that romance 6-month period for the next 50 years. You know, how can we do that? How can we keep that? The idea is to start understanding how to plant seeds. How to plant seeds, and then we learn how to control our situation. We learn how to use wisdom to control our situation, and we're going to talk about that more specifically in the next verse. Well, maybe the verse after that. Right? Yeah.
This quotation is from the Yoga Sutra, which is an ancient book of the yoga tradition from about 18 centuries ago, almost 2,000 years ago. And this subject is called Chinchi Lokshi. I'll just practice, it's good, okay? Say Chin, Chi, Lok, Shi. Chinchi Lokshi. Chinchi Lokshi. Good. Chinchi Lok means ass backwards. Okay? No, really. I've been trying to translate it for 30 years, and I came up with ass backwards. No, it means you think it's like this, but it's like this. You see what I mean? It's just totally backwards. Like, everything we think is good is really quite bad, you know? For example, you go through that romance period. You find the perfect person, right? A person who understands karma, there's this following statement in the scriptures. The seed for a thing's destruction is contained in its birth. You see? The seed for a thing's destruction is contained in its birth. The birth of a child is what kills the child. It's a very weird idea. You see? We think that the child is born, they live okay for a while, then they catch cancer and that kills them. In the scriptures, it's not like that. What killed the child? They were born. You see? What destroyed the World Trade Center? It was built. You see? What causes a relationship to fail? They met each other. You see, I mean, like, this is like, we almost can't imagine that, you see? We have an ignorance about things. We don't understand how things really work, you see? Left to themselves, you see? Left to themselves, a thing will destroy itself, okay? A human body, if you have a human body, and you feed it organic food, and you exercise it regularly, right? And it has no stresses or anxieties. If you put it in a bank vault, you know, it will still kill itself. You say, no, that's what the scriptures say. That's the nature of everything. You see, this building, this beautiful building was just built. This incredible, it's so, I was just admiring it today. Every line is smooth. Everything is done so perfectly. The fact that this place has been finished will destroy it. You see? The fact that this place was built is going to make it fall down. This will be a pile of rubble in X years, you know? That's the way it is. The building of it destroys it, you see? And we don't understand that, you see? We don't even know we're in trouble, you see? Over and over and over, we keep going into relationships thinking somehow this is going to be different, you know? Like, we go through that honeymoon period and we think, somehow, I just didn't get it right last time. You know, like, maybe I didn't know how to cook spaghetti right. Or, you know, or maybe I should have had a guy whose hair was a different color. Or, you know, maybe I should look for someone who's more this or that. You see, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have to understand the nature of a relationship. Left to itself, if you don't have a special kind of understanding about it, that is, if you misunderstand where this person has come from, it must die. It will die. You see what I mean? And then you're just frustrated again. Then you go crazy. Then you go through this period of, I'm not doing that again. Then you go to a party and you meet somebody. Oh, well, maybe this one, you know? You know, no, and then you keep cycling through. But there's a basic, rooted misunderstanding about where things come from. You see? And what we're going to be talking about tonight and tomorrow is that every good thing that ever happens to you in the world can only come from giving that to someone else first. You see? Period. Nothing good ever happens in the world unless you offer it to someone else before that. You see what I mean? Cannot happen. Will not happen. You see? And Jesus said that, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Like that. People said that. Moses said, don't fool around with other people's wives. You won't be happy. They said that. But I think you really have to understand how it works, right? Like there's not much detail sometimes. You see, when you do a kindness to someone, a seed is planted in your subconscious. That colors how you see objects. You see? It's like putting on sunglasses. Then everything is darker or lighter or red colored or pink colored. Or you see, when you do kindness to someone, a seed is planted in your heart, and then you just see things differently. You see? Then you see, somebody with a big mole on their face looks so beautiful, and then maybe someone who's actually a very nice person seems like terrible to you. It's not them. You see? It's not them. Nothing is them. Forget them. Everything is coming from how have you treated other people? Have you taken care of other people? So we'll talk more about that. If you understand that rule, things don't have to end. Things don't have to fall apart. You see? Then everything changes. The whole relationship changes. Then the thing doesn't have to fall apart. Then the birth of the thing will not destroy it. You see? You have to understand how to make it go. If you don't understand, you must fail. It will fail. Sooner or later it will fail. Okay? Okay, here we go.
Is that what you did?
I think so.
So, this kind of ignorance about our world, we talked about before, this diamond dealer duality, right? When it's talking about keeping them, it's a slightly different duality, but it's the same principle, Someone that you're involved in comes up to you, they're angry for some reason, you have no idea why. And, and you're faced with this choice. Do you argue back with them? Try to reason with them? Or do you just stay silent and let them vent and hope it gets over with very quickly? Which one is it? Which one works? Right? In the moment, it doesn't matter which one you do. It doesn't matter. Because you have planted the seed in your heart to see someone get angry at you. How have you planted this seed? By being angry in the past. Probably at that same person. Usually, right? He's the only person I ever get angry at. Lucky him, So he's like the only, he's the only person I ever see get angry back at me, right? It becomes really obvious after a while, this karmic stuff. So it doesn't matter what I do, I could try and reason with him, you haven't had enough to eat today, you're feeling a little grumpy. Or, I think I should get you some protein. Or I could just stay silent and try and do my translation and just ignore the fact that he's getting angry at me. It doesn't matter what I do. At that moment, I can't escape that because I've already planted the seed in my heart. So what we have to learn is how to stop it from the source. We have to learn how to stop it by what's the one thing I can't do in that situation. Get angry. No matter what I do, when someone hypothetically is getting angry at me, no matter what, I can't get angry back because what's going to happen if I do? I'll see it again. I'll see it again, right? Like next week or, when I least expect it, when I'm like the calmest person in the whole world. It doesn't come at you when you're feeling angry. It just comes out of the blue, and so the problem is the time gap between these seeds. It takes a while for the seeds to grow, so it comes up on you and it's unexpected. It's like, well, I'm not angry right now, so how is that connected to anything that I've done? It's a time gap, you see? It's a gestation period in the heart. So we have to practice. We have to practice getting used to seeing that what's appearing before us is not coming from outside of us. It's that same thing that we did with the pen last night for everybody who was here. What is appearing before us is coming from us. I'll say it again. What's appearing before us, the angry person appearing before us, it's not coming from outside of us. It's not coming from the person's side. Another person sitting right next to me could hear that very same words and not even perceive of them as anger. Right? It's happened. It's happened so many times I can't even tell you. They could be sitting right next to you, and they could think that they were the most reasonable person in the whole world and just saying something completely logical and not at all angry. And then you could just be feeling this total wrath. It's not coming from the person, it's coming from your perception. It's your perception coloring this person. And it's coming from seeds that you planted before. By being angry at others, you have these sort of way of viewing the world. You see other people angry. When it happens to be your spiritual partner, it's particularly intense at times, right? Because you're so close. What's the other duality I was supposed to talk about? So you're having problems with your partner in general. Doesn't have to be spiritual partner. And you're trying to decide, it's really horrible. And, the problems are getting so bad that you just don't know what to do. So which is it? Should you move on to the next one? Or should you just give up these relationship things completely? What should you do? Which is going to work? Is it going to work if you move on to the next one? Or is it going to work if you just give it up completely? Anyway, you get the idea. Yeah, number three. Do you want to talk about this right now? Yeah.
Oh yeah, so those are the classic two. When you have a bad relationship, when the one that was gonna work fails for the 10th time, 12th time, don't you get it? No, anyway, you're faced with two choices. What were they? Oh, yeah, move on to the next one. Okay, there's something wrong with this person. If I could just find a person that had bigger ears or smaller ears or something, and you just change, you go on to the next one. By the way, then your karma follows you. I used to be a manager of 800 employees. People would come up to me, I'm leaving the company. I'd say, why? I don't like my manager. Yeah, what's happened? I remember this one lady specifically. She's from Thailand, right? She said, they're pointing their feet at me. I said, excuse me? They point their feet at me. What are you talking about? It's very disrespectful. It's like spitting on someone. They're pointing their feet at me. I said, listen, that's a thing in Thailand. You see, in America, it's okay to cross your legs and point your feet at someone. You see? And she says, no, they hate me. They don't like me. They're doing it because they know it hurts my feelings. Okay, well then you leave. But do me a favor. Get back in touch with me in 6 months. Okay? Okay. And let me know how things are going at your new job. Okay, especially your manager, to let me know about your manager, So all the time in 6 months they call me back. Yeah, how's it going? Well, actually I didn't want to talk to you about that. Yeah, you want your job back, right? Well, I was thinking, it's always like that, because your karma follows you, you see? Until you change the karma, you can keep changing the person. That's like just one more bad yellow diamond, okay? What's the other choice? just give up relationships. Like I have a certain amount of friends who've said, and depending on their willpower, they give it up for everything from 24 hours to 24 years, you know? And they say, I decided it's impossible. It's just impossible, you know? It can't work. This kind of stuff can't work. Relationships cannot work, you know? And then you meet different kinds of people, like monks and nuns, right? Like, you meet monks and nuns, and we're supposed to be celibate. We're supposed to not have a relationship. And through the 20 years in the monastery, 25 years in the monastery, I have observed people's motivation. And I wanted to speak a little bit about that, which is celibacy. You know, it's the decision not to have a relationship, the decision to be a monk. Monk means mono. It comes from mono. It means to stay alone. You see what I mean? So this is a decision that people go through. Some of us go through it from time to time in our lives when we give up on a bad relationship. Then we, like for 6 months, we swear off going out or stuff like that. And then depending on your state of mind, you usually break down and do it again, you know? But I wanted to talk about the beauty of celibacy. And some people have asked me to mention that, you know, like there's a deep beauty and a deep power of making a conscious decision not to have a relationship, you see? And there's a very great beauty to that. And I've been there. I don't know of any other American guy that I can think of who has stayed celibate longer than I have, voluntarily. You see, I mean, there's a difference, right? You know, by having the opportunity and not taking it, right? Basically. And that's a very beautiful power. And yogis and saints throughout history have tapped into that power. And it's a very beautiful power. It gives you incredible energy. You can do incredible work. You get this incredible creativity. You have incredible, they would say prana is stored, right? If they say semen is stored, prana is stored. If you do it for the right reasons, you get incredible energy. But I wanted to say it has to be done in a happy, joyful, positive way, you know? It has to be like, I want to go up to a higher level. I want to reach a higher consciousness. So I'm going to be celibate. You know, I choose not to have a relationship because I want to take that extraordinary sexual energy. Really, sexual energy is a extremely potent energy. And I'm going to channel it all to some higher purpose, you see. Then if it's done that way, as sort of a reaching for a higher goal, then celibacy works. Then you do it joyfully. You're not like frustrated, and you're not like uptight all the time, and you're not like, I want to have sex but I can't have sex. And then you get into, what do you call it? Perversion. You get into different perversions, you know. Different weird things happen to a person who's trying to be celibate but isn't really using it to reach a higher goal. You see what I mean? They made a promise and then they kind of regret it, but they can't change it, and they get more and more uptight, and the sexual energy goes wrong. And then you get cases of abuse and things like that, okay? But there's another kind of celibacy which I don't recommend, and that's this kind of I call it sour grape celibacy, which is where I give up relationships because I hate my ex-husband. You know, it's all based on a hatred or anger at someone else. You see what I mean? And that kind of celibacy I don't recommend. That's just some kind of anger. That's just some kind of statement to the world. You know, like, F you. I don't need that stuff, you know. I can live without it. Why? Because my ex-husband is a jerk, you know. And it's just a statement to the world of frustration or anger or something like that. That kind of celibacy doesn't go, that's not for a higher purpose. It's just some kind of leftover anger or bitterness at somebody. So that, you know, people who do that, sometimes for their whole life after a bad marriage or something. And not, that kind of celibacy is not, that's not a pure thing. That's just some kind of a bitterness or I don't know, lack of capacity of the person, right? So anyway, I wanted to say that. Two kinds of celibacy. There's the sour grape celibacy I don't recommend. There's the reach for a higher goal. And because you're reaching for a higher goal, you're not going to have a relationship for that period. That's fine. there's a third possibility also, which is to reach for a higher goal with a spiritual partner. You see? And that's kind of what we're pitching. That's what we're talking about. And that's a very deep, honored, respected option in the ancient religions, in the ancient spirituality, which I think has been sort of crushed in our culture. And just now, like, what's that book has come out? Da Vinci, what's it called? Da Vinci Code has come out. It's the bestseller. You know, we asked our editor at Doubleday. We have an editor. And we asked him, how are you doing, Trace? Are you doing okay in the company? Are you kidding? I'm on top. My division's on top. Why? We did the Da Vinci Code. You know, it's been number one for a year or something. You see in the airport, they got a wall of them. You know, why? It's a discussion about how perhaps Jesus and Mary had a deeper relationship, and a spiritual relationship, and a holy relationship. And it wasn't dirty, and it wasn't wrong, and it wasn't sexual, and it was this kind of spiritual fulfillment of two people joining their two energies to get higher, you see? So I'd say, when I mention reaching higher with celibacy, this is definitely an option. If you're truly inspired by that concept, and you're not doing it for some like, you know? And then there's the other, you have another option, which is to find a real spiritual partner, and then really shoot for highest things by joining forces. You see, the male and female energies, by teaming up to go higher, to bring each other higher. So those are the different options. We'd like to take a break there. I think there's refreshments. They did that shtick. I don't have to do the shtick, right? Every time you buy a brownie, you're building a temple. So get one for me, because I want the karma of building a temple. And what's the other thing? And if you didn't get a chance to say hi, and if you're not going to see us for the next 5 weeks or something, please come up and say hi. And, you know, whatever, if you have a really personal question that you don't want to talk about in front of other people, you're welcome to come up and ask us. Okay. See you then. 5, 10, 15 minutes, something.
Hello. So I had one question during the break that I figured maybe other people were wondering about too. Someone came up to me and they said, well, you told us about visualizing your imagined perfect partner in order to get your perfect partner. But what if you already have a partner and they're not so perfect? So, what you do is you imagine them as perfect. You can use the same visualization. You just imagine them in their most perfect form. And you create the seeds to see them that way in the future. So, there's your answer to the question all of you were wondering but never asked. So we're going to read the verse on page 3. The king of Kalinka was cutting off my fingers and even my arms. But it never occurred to me to think of him as him. Why? Well, Subhuti, if I had thought of him as him, then I would have gotten upset. So here's the story of the king of Kalinka. There was a king, and he had a queen, and he wanted to go hunting, so he left the queen in the forest to gather flowers while he was gone. And what's funny about that? I didn't even get to the punchline yet. So anyway, flowers. amazing. If you've got the karmic seeds for laughter, it'll just come no matter what you say. So the queen was there, and she was gathering her flowers, and there was a yogi in the forest. And she met the yogi on her travels through the forest. And she respectfully asked him to teach her holy scriptures, holy dharma. And so he did. He sat down in the forest with her, and he started teaching her, how to be a good person and all this other stuff. And then the king came back from his hunt with all of his retinue. They're like all bloody and gross, and they've got all their spears. And he sees his wife, the queen, with another guy. And he's furious. And he automatically assumes the worst. And so he takes this holy yogi and he stakes him down to the ground. And he starts cutting off his fingers, just the tips of them, one by one. And then cutting off the next part, one by one. And the reason this is in the scriptures is because this yogi didn't get upset at the king. Not one single bad thought about the king, even as he's causing him excruciating pain for something he didn't do. Because the yogi, whose name happens to be patience, Kshantim in Sanskrit, right? He had this incredibly strong wisdom about where the king was actually coming from. He saw the king as a ripening of his own seeds from what he had done in the past to other people. He saw this as a ripening of his own acts of violence. And so the only thing he felt was sorrow at his own negative actions in the past. I was so harmful to others, and I feel so bad because look at what I have to deal with now. It was this regret. It's this sort of like sorrowful regret. Wow, I was really a schmuck back there. And when you understand completely that the person in front of you who is doing you harm is not coming from the person's side, it's coming from your side, there's no room for anger anymore. You can't have wisdom and anger in the same mind. They don't fit together. It's one or the other, One of them will kick the other one out. And we like to think that wisdom is the stronger one. That it... if you start practicing wisdom, it will always beat anger out of the mind. And that's the reason why we can progress on the path. Because wisdom will always kick anger's butt in your own mind, right? So this is a verse about learning how to garden your own mind, learning how to plant the right seeds. And I already gave my own personal experience about anger. So Geshe gets to do the other big, that's like one really big problem with partners, is getting angry at each other, and then he gets to do the other really big problem. So.
Just before we give a talk, we do what we call choreography, which is we split up the stuff, like you get to talk about that, you get to talk about that. And actually we're just fighting over the good parts. And so we were trying to divide up anger and the second most common problem for a relationship. And I figure since I'm the specialist in jealousy, that I should do the jealousy, So I said, let me do the jealousy, okay? And I've had this problem since I was a little kid, I grew up with 3 brothers, no sisters, and there's this competitiveness, that's very natural when you have a lot of brothers, and you're like, I don't know, we used to fight like crazy. We used to break doors, windows, chairs. And No, and then as I got into relationships, I would have this intense envy or jealousy. You know, if I had a partner and I saw her talking to somebody or like that, then I would get this intense jealousy. Then when I became a monk and a teacher, I turned it to other Dharma teachers. And if I hear about a good Dharma teacher, I'm like intensely jealous of them, you know, or no, really. So I've just moved it to different objects throughout my life. No, it's been a disease in my mind all my life. So I've had to fight with it, right? So I can speak about it firsthand. And I was thinking, what's the best way to talk about jealousy or competitiveness? It's there's a teaching in the Buddhist scriptures called the Wheel Emperor, Chakravartin. It's a special, it's like king of the world. It's an idea in the old days. There were people who got to be president of the world. You see what I mean? In the old days, like long time ago, there were people whose karma was so special that they were king of the world. They're called wheel emperors. They have this special wheel. It's like a flying saucer. And maybe this comes from some other planet, I don't know. But in the ancient scriptures, there's this story that there are these beings who have circular, flat, disc-shaped ships that can fly in the sky, and they carry their armies. And so they're called Chakravartin. They're called the kings of the wheel. And this is in the ancient scriptures. And I translated it. I translated the first Dalai Lama's commentary on it when I was 20. You know what I mean? And so they're called wheel emperors. And some of them have golden ships, some have silver ships, some have bronze ships, some have copper ships, different colors. And they say that if you have a golden ship, you have this karma that everybody in the world begs you to be the king of the world. You don't have to say anything. Like you just sit in your house, people bang on the door. Please be king of the world. You know? Okay, I'll be king of the world. You know. And then the silver, the king with the silver disc, they have to like go out and campaign. You know? Because somebody else wants to be king of the world. So they have to go out and they go out and campaign. They have to talk people into it. Like, I would make a better king of the world than that other guy. You see what I mean? And they don't have quite the same karma. You see what I mean? So it's a degree of karma. The bronze guy, he has to threaten people. Like, make me king of the world or else. You see? Because he's got like slightly less powerful karma. And then you know the last one, the Iron King or something like that. He has to actually like threaten to kill people. He has to have an army. He has to show the army. They all have to raise their swords. It's like showing off your nuclear weapons or something. You know what I mean? Like he has to really get heavy with people. Like if you don't make me king of the world, you're like vaporized. You know? It's like that. And it's all 4 levels of karma. What we're really talking about is karma to have competition. You see? Karma to have another guy who's interested in your partner. You see what I mean? And again, you have to go to the real causes. Am I going to get up here and say, I'm a Buddhist monk, you should be nice, you should just smile while the guy's leering at your partner, and say, you know, that's fine with me, you know? Or you should get tough and confront them. You know, the guy is slobbering over you in front of me. It's like embarrassing. You know, could you stop that? You know, but you see, that's not what I'm going to say. You see, no. If you have the karma to have it happen already, you got to fix your karma. You see what I mean? You got to be a gold disc king. Like if you're a silver disc king or a bronze disc king or an iron disc king, you're already in the wrong place. You see, you're already in the wrong place. If you do either one, it's not going to work. You see what I mean? And you know that from years of trying to fend people off of your partner, right? You know that. Like sometimes you were nice and they still stole them. And sometimes you were tough and they still stole them. And sometimes you were nice and they didn't steal them, and sometimes you were tough and they didn't steal them. There's no logic to it. It's random. It's not a method. You see? No, neither one works. Why? Because they don't work all the time. They call it replication in science. It's not replicable. You do the same thing and you get the opposite result on different occasions. You see what I mean? So I can't get up here and tell you, smile while they're leering at your partner. Or, stick up for yourself and give it to the guy, The real thing is, you have been envious of other people. You have created competition. You see what I mean? You have put other people in this situation. You have to fix your own karma. Why? This event is coming from your mind. You see? The competition, the person even showing up in the world, the person being born in the world, you made it. You created it. So you have to stop that karma. You see? You have to stop that karma. You absolutely have to respect other people's relationships, or you'll have the same thing happening to you. You see? If you put any kind of pressure on another person's partner like that, it must come back to you. So you have to fix that karma. You see? You have to fix that. Somebody asked me during the break, I understand the idea of avoiding that karma, and I think I can do it. But frankly, I've got like 50 years of that karma already in my pocket. What can I do? He's like, I got old karmic seeds. We have big pockets. We have karmic pockets. To put it briefly, although there's a long practice that you can do, to put it briefly, you can destroy old karmic seeds by seriously, deciding, resolving that you will not do it again. You see what I mean? Okay, so I broke up someone's relationship like a year ago. Like I tried to get this guy's wife, I didn't get her, but they broke up anyway, and I was responsible for it. So I got this karma, it's sitting on my head. I believe what you said about karma. I buy everything you talk. I kind of like the idea that there's a universal justice, because if there is, I can use it. If things are not random, I can use justice to get the things I want. But I got these old karmic seeds. What do I do about them? We call it like cruise missile. You can destroy an old karmic seed in your own heart before it ripens, before you get your partner attacked by some other guy, okay, or girl. And that is just to sincerely regret it. Say, okay, and regret is not guilt, okay? It doesn't help to cry, get anxiety, sleepless nights. Oh, I broke up this couple's relationship, I feel really bad. No, it doesn't help anything, okay? To sit there and think, let's see, I broke up the relationship, so I'm going to get my next relationship broken up. I don't like that. That's intelligent regret. It's not guilt, right? It feels different than guilt. Guilt paralyzes you. Knowledge empowers you. You see? I made a mistake, now goddamn let me fix it. You see? Before it ripens. And then you go out, how do you fix it? Okay, for the next, pick a time, 1 week, 2 weeks. I am going to be super careful not to put the least pressure on another person's partner. Like I will, super careful, unbelievably careful, I'm in the grocery store, some girl looks good, the minute I see that ring, I'm going to no, not going there. Even mentally I'm not going there. You just turn around and look at the different kinds of gluten-free bread they have. Get real interested in these 16 kinds of bread, What kind of bread do I want? Wait till she gets through the checkout, No, I mean, and then you just created a really good karma. Then send it like a cruise missile. I dedicate that to that old bad karma. You send it it's called the cruise missile thing. Send that good karma back in time. Destroy the bad karma that I had. And it does. You see, it does. It's like proactive. Before the karma goes off, you diffused it, you see? And then it'll never come to you. The karma will never come to you. Okay. My teacher, when he taught me this, he said, some karmas are so heavy that you're going to have to send more than one cruise missile. Okay? No, like I've had heavy karmas in my life, in my wild younger days. So I asked him, that karma's kind of big, He said, yeah, that's going to take like 20 cruise missiles. No, so keep going. Keep sending them. You will get a sense of relief. You will feel a sense of liberation. Sometimes you'll get very ill and then suddenly it's over. And that's a sign that the karma died out. Like, as karmas die out, there might be a short, violent incident. Like you get in it, you bring your car up, or you suddenly get sick for a week and then suddenly you're just much better. Or you get this terrible headache for 2 days and then suddenly it's just gone. These are like signs that the karma has worn out. And then just after that, you feel like fresh, and you feel relieved somehow. Then that's a sign that the karma's gone. So use that method. I'm supposed to do one more shtick. People often come up to us in this context, and they want to know, in Buddhism, we have a vow against sexual misconduct, sexual misbehavior. So I'm going to speak very frankly. Maybe it's good in our society that somebody gets up and speaks frankly about what kind of sex is good, what kind of sex is bad. What's a good karma? Is sex a good karma or a bad karma? And what kinds of karma is it? You see what I mean? So I'm just going to speak very frankly from scriptural knowledge. Okay, so I'm not trying to put my morality on you. Okay, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to tell you what the ancient scriptures say. Okay, so I'm not like trying to force you to buy into some idea that I have. I'm just telling you what the great yogis, what the great masters of India and Tibet have said in our tradition. Okay, so I really want you to know I'm not trying to judge you or impose my idea on you, but I want to report to you. I'm just reporting to you. Don't shoot the messenger, okay? This is just what the scriptures say. I personally believe it. And it's made me very happy to follow that way of life. But again, it's your decision. But I think it's important to know. So, basically, any kind of sexual activity which does not hurt another person is okay. Okay? So the main thing is the sexual activity that you're involved in hurting some other person? For example, adultery, or yourself, okay? It's important to say yourself. So is what the sex that you're doing, and obviously cheating with someone else's committed partner is obviously harmful to them. You're hurting somebody. That's a bad karma. You see, that's already a bad karma. Abortion, and I'm just reporting the scriptures, okay? When the egg meets the sperm, the mind is present. The consciousness enters the being. The being becomes a living creature upon conception, according to our belief. Okay, how can you prove it as opposed to 3 weeks or 6 weeks or 9 weeks? These are yogis who meditated on it and saw beings go through their death process, enter the bardo, the in-between state, and then get reborn into at the point at which a baby is alive, according to our tradition, is at the moment of conception. When the egg is fertilized, then that's a living creature. Okay? So, what do we believe about contraception? Oh, and by the way, the scriptures are very clear that it says, Miyam mir chakpa sepa is the definition of murder in our tradition. Miyam mir chakpa means to kill a human being or a fetus is murder. You see, I mean, mi means human, am means or, mir chakpa means a fetus, meaning anything from a fertilized egg on. Okay, so how does that? And I'm speaking very frankly and straight from scripture. Okay, how does that reflect itself in what do you call it? Contraception. Okay, how does that reflect itself in contraception? Oh, and by the way, my Lama, when he taught this, he was very strong about abortion. He said, it's one thing to meet a man face to face that you're angry at and duke it out, and one of you dies. That's one thing. But to kill a being who's defenseless, you see, a being who cannot fight back, who's in the womb, you see, he said he used the word repugnant, he said that's like not fair. You see, they don't have a chance to get you back, you see, it's like one way, like you're very strong, they're very small, and you're hurting them, okay? By the way, if you've been involved in abortion, can you clean that karma? Yes. How do you clean that karma? Serve the sick, serve the needy, serve people who have a health problem, right? Consciously. Serve them. Dedicate that karma to the abortion, you see? And just as a personal note, I've had several students who had abortions. One time I was called, me and Pelma were called to a mental hospital. To meet a student who had just had an abortion. And just my own experience, this is just not scriptural, okay? My own experience is that a woman who has an abortion knows what's happened. You see, I mean, there's this I've never met a woman who had an abortion who was all right with it. You see, I mean, you know in your heart, you know. You see, I believe that. I've just seen it. And I'm speaking from experience. I was involved in an abortion when I was, I don't know, 17 or 18 or something like that. Because I thought it was okay. You see what I mean? And I'm speaking from my own experience also. Okay, so like I've worked to clean that karma. And I think it's important to try to clean that karma by serving sick people, serving people who have health problems, and then send that cruise missile back to that event. I think that karma takes some work. That's a big deal. That's a very big deal, okay? Okay, contraception. Any kind of contraception which does not involve destroying a fertilized egg is okay. See what I mean? So, I'm not very knowledgeable about this. We looked it up on the web yesterday. And I don't know it very well, but I'll give you my general comments, okay? Because I'm trying to be helpful, but I don't know a lot about it. One is the pill is okay. As far as I understand it, the egg is simply never occurs, and there's no conceived child has been destroyed. You see, so as far as I understand the pill, it would, and my Lama said these kinds of contraception are fine. So, you know, is it healthy is another issue. You know, I'm not sure personally if it's healthy. I think it might not be healthy for a woman to take the pill in the long run. I think it might be dangerous, but these are just, I'm not judging that at the moment. I'm not qualified to say that, you know. And the personality effects it has on you are of course documented, and I think, you know, it might be hard to be happy sometimes when you're taking that kind of contraception, I believe. And then any other kind that doesn't which does prevent conception, but doesn't, I think there's a morning after pill now. I don't know much about it, but I believe that if the egg was already fertilized and it destroyed the egg that was already fertilized, that would be an abortion according to Buddhist belief, okay? We were stuck on IUD. We looked up IUD on the web. It wasn't very clear to me. And I know, like in China, I mean, 500 million people are using it. From what I read, and I don't know, it seems to prevent conception. They don't understand very well why. But it may also have an effect on the lining of the uterus or something. Yeah? That's what I thought might be. She said there is already a fertilized egg in some cases, but it can't be planted into the walls where it has to stay to be properly nourished. It's what I understand. If that's true, and I don't know, okay, I'm not qualified, but if it destroys the fertilized egg, then it would be an abortion, you see? Right. That's why I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, would you, yeah, sorry. Oh, she said, that if you've used one of those methods, then you might have had an abortion in a sense and not know it. So yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to get cornered by a reporter tomorrow who says, you spoke against IUD last night. No, I was giving a teaching about partners. I wanted to help people who might have questions, you know. I'm not qualified to, I don't know these things. But yeah, theoretically, logically, it might have been an abortion and you wouldn't know. Then should you purify it? I would purify it. But I'm not an expert. I just thought to bring it up because, you know, everybody wants to know these things. And that's the position of our scriptures and our lamas. And I believe it. Personally, I believe it. So then it's up to you to do whatever you think is necessary. You know, I'm not going there. You know, I'd say if you have the karma to respect life, you will always do the right thing. You see what I mean? And it's very important to respect life. All kinds of life, all forms of life. Okay? I'll probably get in trouble from that. Okay. Divorce. Is divorce okay? My Lama's position, which I also believe is correct, is that if both parties mutually agree that this is not working out, then divorce in a Buddhist context, that's okay. It's okay to have a mutually agreed upon dissolution of a partnership. But that's not the worldview method. Okay? That's the moving on thing. Right? That's like, the karma will follow you. You know? Like, if it's totally, causing you mental grief and, if you're about to go crazy, maybe it's okay, but actually you haven't changed the cause of it. Getting rid of the expression of the karma will not change the karma. Get it? That person who's driving you crazy is the expression of your own deeds. It's not them. Master Shantideva says, how many of you have got hit by a stick, and like 5 people raised their hand? So how many of you tried to beat up the stick? Well, none of us. Well, why? That's the one who hit you, right? No, it's the guy holding the stick that you should beat up. No, you should beat up the stick. Why? Because you divorced your last husband. Okay? He's just a stick. He's just a stick. You's holding the stick. It's your karma. Okay? No, that's just the expression of how you treated people in the past. You see? Do you like your yoga teacher? Yes. Why? I feel so much better since I've been doing yoga. Okay? You don't have to think that way so much. They are the expression of your own good karma. You see? If you have been kind to others, if you have helped others, if you have helped pay for others' food, others' housing, things like help refugees, etc., the yoga teacher, you invented your yoga teacher. You created your yoga teacher. And then they made you healthy. Did they make you healthy or did you make you healthy? No, both really. But they were created by your actions. In the same way that your partner is created by your actions. You must get into the mindset of taking care of problems by changing your own karma. You can't manipulate outside stuff. It doesn't work. It's just the old diamond dealer stuff. You know what I mean? You have to get into the mode. You have to get into the idea. This is revolutionary. This is different. This is why we have the guts to get up and talk about this stuff. Because we think we have something that's correct. You must work on it from your own karma. You must fix your own karma. You can't just say, you go away. You say, it doesn't work. If it worked, it would be okay. If it worked, I'd get up here and say, get rid of the bum. Just get rid of him. No mercy. Get rid of him. It doesn't work. If it worked, I would be the first one. I'll help you get rid of him. We'll get a big stick. We'll get 2 baseball bats. No, it just doesn't work. Because the karma will follow you relentlessly. The next guy will be the same. Just Zechik Dobatade. Say Zechik Dobatade. My Lama went into 7-Eleven. He said, everything is goddamn Zechik Dobatade. I said, Rinpoche, what's Zechik Dobatade? He said, sugar, flour, water, corn syrup. It's all the same junk. Everything sold in an American 7-Eleven is the same junk. It's Zechik means same junk. Dopatade means different expressions of the same junk. You see what I mean? So your karma is going to follow you. All the guys you ever meet will be Zechik Dopatade. It's the same junk in a different package. You see what I mean? And you got to change the junk, you see? You can't just you can't say, I don't want Twinkies, I'm going to have cupcakes. It's the same junk. It still hurt you, you see? You have to fix the problem. The problem is coming from you. All problems are coming from you. It's a terrible truth to face. We don't want to face it, right? Yeah. You're giving me a diamond dealer question. Should they stay and get abused or should they leave and not get abused? The karma will follow. The karma will follow. They should change their karma. It's very hard to hear. People don't want to hear it. Tomorrow there'll be a report in the newspaper. Geshe said that people should just be abused. No, I didn't say that. I said, of course you should leave. If you're in danger, you should leave, right? But you'll be in danger the next day from somebody. Because you didn't change the karma. So should you leave or should you stay? Too bad question. It's a bad question. Okay.
One other thing about this last verse before we go on to the next one. We said that, the Buddhist tradition doesn't think that divorce is harmful. I mean, it's okay if both parties mutually agree, but there are two considerations you have to take, that you have to think about before you launch into this endeavor of splitting up. First of all, when you take any kind of commitment, the marriage commitment is a commitment for life. And when you decide to break that commitment, it's planting a seed to break further commitments in the future, or to have people break commitments with you in the future. So you have to stop and think very seriously whether you want to plant that seed, or whether you can do something to make it work, Considering it's Zeichik Dopadade and the karma will follow you anyway in your next relationship, wouldn't it be better, since you've made this commitment, you've made a promise to stay with this person your entire life, to see it through? The second thing is, if you have any children to consider when you're thinking about breaking up, that's definitely going to harm another person, other people. It harms them very, very seriously when children have divorces in their experience. They can't grow up properly. They're traumatized by it, and so that would be a bad deed, harming your children. Okay, we're going on to the next verse. Yeah, what? Yeah. Most of you probably didn't hear the question. Ted asked, if you're in a relationship that's really driving you crazy, and as soon as you see them, you just become, by the way, he's not talking about his own beautiful wife, I'm sure. He was just whispering to her, honey, I'm not talking about you. We know that. Okay. So every time you see this person, they just drive you crazy, and you just get totally upset, and you can't control your own mind, and you just create more negative karma. Wouldn't it be better to separate yourself from them rather than perpetuate these negative seeds? Well, you have to weigh the karmic seeds. The reason why monasteries were built was because people couldn't control their own mind in the outside world. When faced with normal human interactions in their own office and in their own home life, they couldn't control their mental afflictions. They couldn't control their anger and their jealousy, and so they took a time out, and they went up into the hills somewhere where nobody else was to get their mind in order for a while, so that they could eventually go back and live in the world in a proper way. They can function and interact with others and actually be of service to them instead of being a menace. So I hope that helps. Yeah, maybe take a vacation, go to go on a retreat. I always love that answer. Go on retreat. I'm sort of biased. Anyway, we're going on to the next verse. Now go back again and think carefully about all the problems that come to you when you look out only for yourself, and about all the good things that happen when you look out for others as well. Treat others as you treat yourself. Devote yourself to the practice of putting yourself in the other person's shoes. Learn to look at people and think of them as if they were your own child, your only child. With this strong thought in mind, look at the world. Look at the world. See how little happiness there is. Pray then that all the people in this world could be happy. Decide that you will make them happy. This is what we call love. So, I'm supposed to talk about the Buddhist definition of love, right? I mean, normally we think of love as, two people see each other and their eyes meet and their hearts go pitter-patter and then they ride off into the sunset together. In the Tibetan tradition, this has nothing to do with what true love actually is. True love is what this verse is talking about. It's thinking about everyone in the world, thinking about how they're feeling, putting yourself into their shoes and thinking about how little opportunity they get to be happy. And then making some sort of wish in your heart. It's this process of opening your heart to other people. Making a wish in your heart. Wow, I wish these people could be happy. I really wish. I wish this whole world would stop fighting with each other. I wish everybody who is in a relationship would stop arguing with each other. I wish everybody would just love each other. And then you make a wish that you could make that happen. That you could actually be a cause for everyone to stop fighting and arguing and being jealous and petty and everybody to just open their hearts and love each other because, wow, wouldn't that be a great world, And the idea of a spiritual partnership is to practice with the other person, developing this kind of feeling. First for just one other person in your life, You take another person and you say, well, I can't open my heart to that many people. I can't open my heart to the whole world right now, but I'm going to practice opening my heart to at least one person. And trying to make them happy. And serving them, Making it your mission in life to make them happy. And along the way, because this is such a powerful karma, this feeling, in your heart, when you develop it, all the other lesser goals come rolling into you as well. You get the pitter-patter thing automatically when you do this higher kind of love. It just comes to you automatically and you don't even have to search for it or look for it. It will fall at your feet. If you keep your mind on the highest goal, all the lesser goals automatically come to you and you don't have to worry.
I'd like to repeat that. There's another false duality that your mind will try to get you into. Like either I'll have a spiritual relationship, or I'll have a nice physical relationship, or I'll have a spiritual relationship, or I'll have a family relationship, I'll have a spiritual relationship, or I'll have a financially based, mutual economic security relationship. The idea is not that. The idea is that if you develop a higher kind of love, which is a concern for everyone's welfare, and that the partnership is for that purpose, to serve other people, if the partnership's primary goal is to be of service to the world, then the other ones will come. You'll have a good physical relationship, you'll have a good financial relationship, you'll have a good emotional relationship, you can have a family. Those will all be automatic. You see what I mean? Once you set your goals, once you create the karma of the highest kind of relationship, all the other stuff just comes. So don't get into that duality of, oh, I either have to have a spiritual relationship or a physical relationship or something like that. Don't get into that. You get your cake and eat it too. That's what we're selling, okay? All right. The next verse is very holy. Anyone who really wants to quickly reach some shelter for themselves and every other being must exchange themselves and others, must carry out the very highest of every secret practice. This is a very high bodhisattva practice where you put your mind in another person's body. Okay? Just very basically. It takes a long time to learn. It would take me weeks to explain it. But basically, you just park your mind in the other person's body. You see what I mean? So it's a joke in Buddhism. They say, do you have to overcome your selfishness? Nah, it's too hard. So you mean I should just be a selfish son of a gun? Yep. Just be as selfish as you want. Maybe even worse than you used to be. Okay? That's fine. Wow, cool. Just one thing. What? Put your mind in the other person's body before you be selfish. Okay? Alright? So like I like creamy ice creams. I just like chocolate chip ice cream. I like the high carb, high fat stuff. Okay? She likes this petite, low fat sherbet stuffs. What do you call them, those things? There's another word for them. Sorbet. She likes sorbet. I don't hate it, but if that's all I can get, I'll eat it. But, so like, if you do Dakshin Nyamje, I mean, in the old days they called it sharing or consideration. We have to give it a Tibetan name or you won't try it. Okay. But you put your old selfish, dirty old mind, you put it, be selfish, son of a gun. Just put it in her body when you walk into 31 flavors. Okay? So like you go in, then there's no question. You walk up to the counter and you order sorbet. To be nice to the other person? No. It's because of what I want. It's what I want. Okay? Got it? Easy to say, hard to do. Okay? When you and your partner are together, you just put your mind in their body. Don't try to be unselfish. Don't try to be noble. Don't try to change your natural nature. It's too hard. Just put your mind in their body and get exactly what you want, which happens to be sorbet. Okay? It's a trick, but it works. And it feels great. It actually feels good. So anyone who's been in a relationship, you know sharing is a big thing. Sharing is, like, for us it's been very, I'm a Buddhist master. I translate stuff. I'm the best translator in the world. I don't need anybody else to tell me how to translate. And I'm a good teacher and I don't need anybody else to comment on my teaching or to split the teaching with me. You know what I mean? I don't need that. What do I need that for? You see what I mean? But then you have to share, you see? And then it's a great practice. It's a beautiful practice, you see? Then you realize you're not so smart. And you're not infallible. And yeah, no, you could do things better. And two people's energy is better than one person's energy, you see? And then great things can happen, you see? So there's this idea of a partnership as being, there's an initial period of discomfort when you're getting shaken out of your old selfish, I can get up anytime I want, I can eat whatever I want, I can go do whatever I want, you see? And then there's this, I don't know, this jarring thing of having to consider another person. You see what I mean? Which seems very inconvenient at the beginning, and then later you realize this is just the opening to a bigger door of considering other people's feelings, you know. So you're forced into, like my Lama had a very unbelievable student. He forced him to get married. he forced him to have a child. And he was this really kind of grumpy, unpleasant person when I knew him. Then after he got married, after he had a child, the child forced him to share. You see, the marriage forced him to learn to share. And then he just changed. He transformed completely and learned how to love another person, how to take care of how to consider another person's desires and needs. And now like an incredible teacher, incredible person, high master, and it takes that. So you can use the relationship for that. Share. Just share. Depends on how serious you want to get about it. You can share meals. You can share, and then find new activities. You see, if you're in a spiritual partnership, life is not just about making money with each other or cooking together or like that. Like you can find higher activities. You can meditate together. It's twice as powerful. You can do yoga. We do yoga together every day. We match breath. Breath for breath, exhale for inhale. We're doing it as one person. You see what I mean? You can maybe learn to do sacred dance together. You can learn all these higher. We study together, read together, teach together, serve other people together. It's a lot more interesting than a normal eat together and have a physical relationship together. You know what I mean? It's a lot more fulfilling. It's really beautiful. And it doesn't have to be in front of 100 people or 200 people. It could be, you go out with somebody and you just have, let's talk about some scripture, or let's talk about, I got this thing from this talk the other night. What do you think about this? You know what I mean? And it's very beautiful to share higher activities together. Relationship with another person doesn't have to be limited to food and sex. You know what I mean? It could be there's so many beautiful things you can do together. And then it's like you share on a much higher level. It's really beautiful. So, last thing. Okay, last thing.
Just one more thing about the sharing. It's really nice if you and your partner can have some sort of life mission together. If you have some sort of higher goal, like the previous page, making all beings totally happy in the world. It's some sort of goal like that, and then you really come together with this common goal as a point of focus, and it's such a strong, powerful karma of you plan to do some sort of good thing with them, to change the world to make it a better place, and it just makes it so magical, So I recommend that. Last thing that I'm supposed to say, which we'll talk a lot about tomorrow, but I'm just planting a seed in your mind. The very best way to keep your partner, the very best way to avoid any kind of negative emotions like anger or jealousy is to just look at your partner and see them as your holy teacher, as your holy guide. They have come to you. They're someone special, that it's not an accident that they've come to you. That somehow they purposely finagled their way into your life so that they could come and bring you up to a higher place, so that they can come and teach you something that you really need to know in order to open your heart or in order to progress further. And if you can see them like that, then and just surrender to that view of your loved one, then really, really magical things will happen. Then they start to really teach you more and more. Because you're planting the seeds to see them as such a powerful person in your life. You plant the seeds to see them teach you even more. And yeah, really, really magical things can happen. So try it out. Just try it for like 3 months. You know, you don't have to believe what we say. See, the great thing about this kind of stuff is you can go try it at home, and then if you don't like it, or if it doesn't seem to work for you, you could just, you know, shelf this. Put it under the Reader's Digest somewhere and never look at it again. But if it does work, then my God, you've got the rest of your life cut out for you, because you've learned some sort of magic key to reworking your reality. So, try it out.
I think it works. Anyway, I'm just, I'd like to announce a few things, especially if you're new, but sometimes people just don't hear about something and they miss it, so there's a couple cool things happening. There's a course called Meditation, the Inner Path of Yoga, which will be happening at Yoga Oasis, Central and East, on Wednesdays and Thursdays. If you get this pink sheet, which is outside, I guess, you can get that. That's about meditation and yoga. There's a level 2 of there's a course going on for meditation, for Christian-oriented meditation. So if Christianity is your path, or like me, I grew up Christian and I sort of did Buddhism for a long time, but I still feel deeply attracted to Christianity. So if you're in sort of that category, there's a beautiful course going on about Christian practice and meditation. Meditation techniques that were going on among Christians who reached India and Tibet like 1,000 years ago. Like, it's really interesting. It's a really interesting course. So if you're into that, the information is here. The Yoga Sutra is the greatest book on yoga ever written. The first chapter is about a lot of stuff that we've been talking about. A lot of the pages that you got were from this book. It's being taught in Tucson in the next month. That schedule is also here. Different kinds of yoga. One is called Anusara. One is called Jiva Mukti, and there are separate classes going on for those, which will be listed here. And then we do have obviously the yoga is being taught here, and we had the fortune to speak to the owners last time we were here, and it's a beautiful place to do yoga. I mean, you can feel it, right? And we really encourage people to do some kind of yoga. Personally, when we go to a new city, we usually take like 3-4 classes at random from the internet, and we just show up and we take it, and we learn a lot. And I think it's really good for you to do yoga, and I think it's good to see which place you connect with. You see, I mean, different places have a different feel, and this place has a really beautiful feel, so you might try it here. I just think it's really healthy to do yoga. And I'm one of the people who hates exercise. I hate yoga, I hate exercise, I love to eat. I can finish 4 bowls of ice cream without even breathing. And I was never attracted to yoga, but I did start to do it because of my partner. And I find it very fulfilling. So I recommend it. If you don't do it, you might look into it. And see which place fits you, okay? What style fits you, right? The last thing on the sheet is we have a university. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours from here, out in another universe called Bowie, Arizona. And we purposely picked a place sort of out in the middle of nowhere so you could concentrate. There's a free courses going on there the next 5 weeks. We have 3 semesters every year. And there'll be, I think it's 15 courses running, free courses. And we also have a Tucson campus. So it ranges from Tibetan study, Sanskrit study, Buddhist study, Hindu study, Chinese medicine study, sacred dance, sacred music, like that. How to do a retreat, how to meditate. like really authentic courses. That's the shtick, okay? Like everyone who's teaching them has been trained for many years under very serious lamas or teachers. So if any of that sounds good to you, contact the website at the bottom of the page. Then I'd like to give a hand just to the owners of the studio here, Anjali. I was a dishwasher at my temple for 8 years. I used to be clean up after the people left, those holy, sacred students. They seem to mess up stuff worse than anybody. I washed the floors for 8 years after each talk, so I know what they're going through. And they've been very kind to let us use the place. There's always something broken, the people leave, they don't fix it, and you know, it's a lot to just give up a place and offer it as so kindly as they have. So, but we'll take it again tomorrow. So sorry to keep you late, but I think it's a holy purpose. Okay. So the last thing we always do is we give away the good karma. We'll sing an old Tibetan song, and it just means I give away the good karma of this talk, of coming together like this. May everybody in the world have a sweet relationship, okay? Like that. Here we go. Aww. She says I'm the least romantic person she ever met.
Yes. All cold, hard Buddhist logic. Where's that karma come from? Anyway. Sashi Paki Jukshin Meto Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniyatayami. Kevadi Kevokam Sanam